Hola, fanáticos del deporte y los viajes. Keen linguists will know that I've kicked off proceedings with a shambolically pronounced hello fans of sport and travel in Spanish, and it's to the capital of Spain that we're heading in this episode. By the way, this is how that phrase should sound.
Hola fanáticos de los deportes y los viajes.
Thanks to Senorita Google Translate for that. Now, what you're about to hear is a tale of poorly planned buffoonery and my attempt to rescue a rather embarrassing situation. The idea was to take my dad over to Madrid to the El Clásico game, Real Madrid versus Barcelona. It was a gift for his 80th birthday, and although he isn't a huge football fan, he's a Hispanophile, and so anything Spanish was going to float his flotilla. So to Madrid we ventured, doing all the touristy turns, eating all the tapas, until it dawned on me that it was going to be very hard to just turn up to the Santiago Bernabeu stadium and get tickets for the game. In fact, it's nigh on impossible if the game is being played in a totally different city, i.e. Barcelona. As I said, poorly planned buffoonery. But buoyed by the birthday spirit and a can-do attitude that only an 80-year-old with a heart condition can have, Dad suggested that we savour the atmosphere in a bar. This is where the next obstacle revealed itself, because it turns out that if you stroll into a bar 5 minutes before the big game kicks off, you can't get a seat. Now, we knew that our legs, which have a combined age of 260, couldn't cope with 90 minutes of standing up, and it was all rather deflating, especially when we heard that our very own English golden boy Jude Bellingham scored 2 late goals to seal a Real Madrid win against their arch rivals. It was galling, but you win some, you lose some, and it gave us an interesting travel tale. If you take a look at your MP3 device or wherever you're listening to this, you'll note that this episode still has quite a few minutes left to run, and that would suggest that there is another chapter to this story. And here it is. Spanish football fans will know that Real Madrid isn't the only football team in town. There's also Atletico Madrid, another top side, not quite in the same ballpark as Real, but they were also playing at home that weekend. Same problem though, I couldn't get a ticket for that one either. But there are even more teams. For example, there's Rayo Vallecano, which to English eyes looks like it's pronounced Rayo Vallecano, but I thought I'd have a crack at the way the locals do it. And it turned out that they were playing at home on the Sunday afternoon. So I took the Line 1 metro train to Patasco Station and followed the crowds to Estadio de Vallecas, and this is the sound that greeted me. When I say this is the sound that greeted me, I'm not suggesting that the fans were cheering me per se, but I'm not ruling it out either. Much of what I'm going to tell you now has been gleaned from the terrific website throughTheturnstiles.com. The people you've just heard there are ultras. Ultras are fans who see themselves as a class apart from the rest of supporters. They are fans who are truly fanatical. Rayo's ultras are known as Los Bukaneros, which translates as the Buccaneers. That's because locals have self-proclaimed the neighbourhood to be a port city, despite being over 300 kilometres from the nearest coastline. This all stems from a massive annual water fight known as La Batalla Naval that takes place there every July the 15th. The first one happened in 1981 during a massive heatwave in Madrid, and it's celebrated every year to show the individuality and pride in the neighbourhood. Los Bukaneros play a central role in these festivities every year. The supporters are also renowned for being politically inclined, far left-wing, anti-fascist, anti-racist and non-xenophobic. The group was formed in 1992. They've grown in size and notoriety and have had some of the most memorable fan displays and protests ever seen in Spanish football. And what you can hear is Los Bucaneros parading through the streets ahead of kickoff. A lot of noise, a lot of pride, but nothing nasty. As I was making my way around the ground, and it is a ground in the old-fashioned middle of the neighbourhood surrounded by shops and houses sense, rather than a stadium, I found myself next to a couple of Rayo fans and realised that I could understand every word they were saying. My God, I thought, 2 days in the country and I'm already fluent in the language. Duolingo strikes again. Then I looked closer and realised they didn't really have that Spanish vibe about them. They were also speaking English. So, recording device in my hand, I seized the day, and as you will gather, the pair gave the impression of being well-oiled.
If you count to 10 for me, would you?
Sorry?
Could you count?
Can I count to 10?
Count to 10.
Now you're testing me.
I just want to make sure I don't get this too close to you and it distorts.
Get the Paddy to count to 10.
Absolutely.
Outrageous.
One,
Yeah, that'll do right.
two,
And yourself?
Can you read, Kieran? Can you read?
Kieran. Right. If you just give me your first name.
Ross.
Ross and...
Kieran.
Okay, start with yourself, Kieran. Tell me, you're a Vallecano fan. Am I saying that correctly?
I am
first
indeed
of all?
Vallecano.
Why is that? What has led
It's
you to
funny
this?
that Rayo, they call them Rayo Vallecano. Rayo means lightning strike in Spanish. So we were here about a month ago and there was a big storm, and it's funny that they have the stripe because it's Rayo Vallecano for the lightning.
You're pointing to your shirt there that's got a thunderbolt.
Exactly. And Vallecano means that you're from Vallecas, which is the neighbourhood of Vallecas that we are not. But it's a great. We love it here. We both bought a season ticket last year.
Yep, I queued.
Come in here.
But really affordable. I don't know,
value.
less than €300 for a season ticket.
Wow.
Where you can see Barcelona, Real Madrid. You get.
And we
top
beat them
class.
last season as well.
They beat both Real Madrid and Barcelona here in Vallecas in neighbourhood in Madrid last year.
Yeah.
Less than €300. It was like €260.
Yeah,
something like that
270,
each for
he
a season
pays,
ticket.
I queued.
I got it for his 40th birthday.
And so how have you both live here? Do
Yeah,
you
we
come
both live
travelling
in the
here?
centre. I've been here about 6 years, you've been here a bit
I've
less.
been here 5 years, he's
Yeah.
been here 6 years, and we've been connected through wives because I lived. Ross is
Same
from
wife?
Oxford. No.
We're not Amish.
It's
It's
nice.
fine.
It'd be nice, though, wouldn't it?
So Ross is from Oxford, and I lived in Oxford.
Okay.
So Ross's wife and my wife lived together in worked together in Oxford, and they knew each other, and they moved to Madrid before us, and then when we came to Madrid, we hooked up with them, became friends.
This is the feel-good movie of the year. This is delightful.
I came here on holiday for La Decima when, and I'm a Spurs fan, so Bale in the final.
La Decima being...
La Decima, the 10th time they won the Champions League.
Okay, Real Madrid.
And Atletico. It was the only game in the world where maybe because I'm a Spurs fan, he's an Arsenal fan,
Funny thing
and we're
is,
still
he's
mates.
Spurs and I'm Arsenal.
So I came here, and it was one of those games where basically all of the fans were partying outside, both sets of fans in the street. You could have a beer in the street, you're giving someone maybe €1, they're bringing them round, and it was wonderful. All the kids were together, and I was thinking, if this is the kind of city where both sets of fans can party together after winning and losing the Champions League final, I'd be interested in moving here. So basically, long story short, we were trying to find a club where we could identify with. So I tried Real Madrid. Maybe I can't politely say those words that I actually think now. It's a little bit posh. They don't support, they don't clap, they don't cheer when the goal goes in. So we tried Atletico. I tried Atletico again, but then you got Chulo, and let's be honest, it's great. It's a great team, but they kept on winning. So then I needed to find a team that I could identify with.
A bit like Oxford United, if you like.
Perfect.
A bit like Spurs. Somebody who doesn't win.
Somebody
who doesn't win.
Hang on. So we tried to find a team that, because we're big football fans, we wanted to find a team where we could identify with, where there's a bit of soul, where there's a bit of atmosphere. And I have to say, I'd love this club to do well. But last season I was hoping that they didn't get into Europe, because I'd rather them stay in the league.
The biggest thing, honestly, I'd say about it is, for me, it's like coming to football in the 1980s or something. Because the stadium is so old.
Well, it's 14,000 here. It's right bang in the middle of streets either side. There are pubs down one side where it's very atmospheric, to say the least. And when I was standing up near these bars, I saw the what do you call the real hardcore? What do you call the hardcore?
The ultras.
The ultras going in, for what it's worth, with their big old flags.
Yep.
And also there were legions of Sociedad fans kind of marching in as well, being
you've
guarded by
got
the
political
police.
statements there as well because they're Basques. So
Yes,
there's very
they're right next to France, aren't they? About 50 miles away from France in the Basque country. Yeah.
But you were making a point earlier on about how they're called Real.
So my wife...
I thought that.
My wife is Basque. So my wife is a big Atleti Bilbao fan.
Yeah.
And Atleti Bilbao is a club that...
very closely associated with the Basque country and
and
kind
they
of the
will
club
only
for the
play
Basque, with Basque players.
that are Basque. So they still... And for example, my wife does not consider herself Spanish. So for her, the national team is Atleti Bilbao. Yeah. And they consider that. Yeah. But I was saying to Ross earlier, I need to ask some of these Real Sociedad fans, what's the story? Because my wife always says that Real Sociedad, they're from San Sebastian.
Yeah.
And they consider themselves really Basque, but they're called La Real. La Real means the Royal Society. Sociedad is society. So Royal Society is like, Royal Society means
Royal Society
Spain.
of what?
Yes, well, how can you
Which bunch of royals?
Exactly. In the Basque country, there's no royals, there's no Royal Society. So I've always asked this question when I go to Bilbao. I'm married now to my wife many years, and I always ask this question in Bilbao, and they just
They brush it off.
because in Bilbao it's not their problem.
Oh, okay, I see.
I would like to ask the people from San Sebastian what is the real story, because I'm sure they have a reason, or I still don't understand, and I've lived here 5 years. So.
I'm gonna have to let you go in a minute. The game's about to start, but finally, Madrid is a place. This is meant to be a travel podcast, so I better ask you this. Give me one thing apart from the football.
Yes.
That if one was to come to Madrid for the weekend, the thing that you should do that maybe that's not quite the normal travel stuff.
Not quite the normal travel stuff.
I've rather thrown this at you.
No, that's brilliant.
Come around to your house.
I'll say Mercado San
Got
Fernando.
this.
Yeah,
What's
close
that?
to the Angel, right?
There's a Mercado San Fernando in Lavapiés, which is a really good market. So lots of people go to Mercado San Miguel, which is near it's like a market, it's like a really tourist. But Mercado San Fernando, which is only 10 minutes from there, is you can go on a Saturday and Sunday. You can get really good food. Locals, good food. You can go and get like tapas and a beer, or a Coca-Cola and a beer, and really cheap and really local, and that's a really, really good thing to do.
I personally would say actually spend some time around places like Vallecas, where get out of the tourist zones, get into places, the barrios, Los Barrios, where people really live and experience what the culture is of really like, what Spain really is like. It's wonderful. It's a magnificent place.
Enjoy the game, guys. Thanks so much.
Very nice to meet you.
Cheers. Bye-bye, and you. Take care.
That was Kieran and Ross just finishing up their refreshing pre-match routine. And for those filling in their football coupons, the match finished in a 2-2 score draw, Vallecano equalising in injury time. Here's that goal.
7 minutes added on for Rayo Vallecano. Here's Lejeune, out to Bebe. Cuts inside, you know what's coming. Bebe, and the shot and the goal! And he's done it again, his second goal in the space of a week. And from distance, you know he's going to hit it. You know what's on his mind when he gets the ball out wide. And he unleashed the shot, and Ramiro is beaten. And it's Rayo Vallecano 2, Real Sociedad 2.
So there's a genuine, authentic alternative to the most famous club match in world football, and it is a terrific experience. You've got a great chance of being close to the action, so you can actually see the players. They're not just dots on the landscape. You get a scintillating atmosphere, but without the threat of violence. You won't have to remortgage the house to get a ticket, and you get the chance to say that you're a football hipster who doesn't run with the crowd, and all because I couldn't read a fixture list properly. Thanks for listening to the Globetrotters Playbook. Do keep an eye out for this episode's sibling edition, which is more of a straightforward travel guide to Madrid. It will be available, as you expect, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, do leave a rating and a review for the show. Otherwise, I'll tell those Bukaneros where you live. Goodbye.